Hi everybody, my name is Rupa, working as Assistant Professor in Chevrolet Engineering College in the Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. I am dealing the subject renewable energy sources and today's topic is solar pond and solar still and thermal extractions. Next topic is solar ponds. These solar ponds have multiple ways of using. So these are used for collecting and storing the collected energy from the solar radiations. So actually it is a natural or artificial body of water used for collecting and absorbing the solar radiation, and again it stores that as a form of heat. This is a solar pond. So this is combining with, so thus a solar pond is combining with solar energy collection, and it is heating, sorry, it is storing the heat sensibly. Okay, so very simplest type of solar pond is a shallow solar pond. It is a shallow solar pond, simplest type. It is about 5 to 10 centimeters deep and with a radiation absorbing of E-black plastic. E-black plastic, we are having this E-black plastic coating at the bottom only. So if you see in the diagram, we can see we have the idea of the solar ponds. So this is a small shallow solar pond. Here this is the surface zone. This one, this here water will be circulating from up and down. This is the insulation zone and this is the storage zone. So cool water in, hot water out. Okay, so these are the this hot water will be going down and fresh cool water will be going up. So see, the sun radiations are coming onto the pond and it is collecting the solar radiations, it is absorbing the solar radiations, and again it is storing. So and inside a bed of insulating material. See here, insulating zone is there. A bed of insulating material under the pond. It minimizes the loss of heat to the ground. So this bed acts as a insulating material and it minimizes the loss of heat to the ground. It avoids the loss of heat going into the ground. So and a curved cover. This is lining. A curved cover is made. It is made up of transparent fiber glass. This lining is made up of transparent fiber glass. So it permits entry of solar radiation from the top here. But it reduces the losses by radiation and convection movement, by air movement. In suitable climate, if the climate is suitable for the solar ponds, means solar radiations are always present in the daytime, all the pond water can become hot enough for using in space heating and agriculture and other process. Okay, so for under favorable conditions, this can be used for, what are the sources, what are the applications it is used for? It can be used for space heating, agriculture and other process, etc. In shallow solar ponds, as described above, what I said, water soon acquires a very uniform temperature. Okay, so the time required for the water to attain a uniform temperature is less. However, water in such pond heats up usually only to a few degrees only. So we cannot attain high temperatures here because of natural convection currents which are set into motion as soon as the heat is absorbed at the bottom. Due to this conventional movement of conventional currents, motion of conventional currents, we can attain only smaller temperatures up to few degrees. If you take a deeper pond here, also we can have temperature variations. So what may be the shallow or deeper ponds? Temperature variations will be existing definitely. So loss of heat from the surface, especially it is at night, loss of heat will be resulting at night especially. So because this results in circulation of water by convection. So if the water is lost, the convection circulation will be start. So this situation is changed if the pond contains a salt water at the bottom and with a layer of fresh clear water on the upper side. So if you take salt water on the bottom side and if you take upper water in the above bottom side, we can reduce the losses. So because of this salt content we are taking at the bottom, the solar pond bottom water is denser. These are more heavier than the cool fresh water at the top. So as these are denser at the bottom, they cannot rise upwards. So bottom water will be at the bottom only and fresh water will be on the top only. So a relatively stable layer of heated salt water is produced at the bottom of the salt with a lighter layer of cooler water on the tops. So this cooler water acts as a heat insulator above it. So actually we can call the solar pond as artificially constructed pond, in which temperatures we can rise to our desired values. And the best term for this solar pond is, we can call it as salt gradient solar pond or non-convection solar ponds. Okay, so we can call the solar ponds as specific terms as salt gradient solar pond or non-convecting solar ponds. Okay, these two are different from the shallow solar ponds. So solar ponds has high promise nature over a flat plate collectors. So they can definitely overcome the disadvantages in the flat plate collector, and they can be used for the energy storage by employing a mass of water for both collection and storage of solar energy. Okay, so the solar energy stored in this is of low grade. Low grade means it is from 60 to 100 degrees Celsius only. Thermal form. This is called as thermal form. And it is a suitable item for the suitable application for the suitable activity for the various applications such as space heating, industrial process heat to obtain mechanical or electrical energy. This is solar pond. So many researches are going on the pond. So these ponds have been studied experimentally and analytically at the National Physical Laboratory of Israel and by various other countries also. So a scientist called Tabor in 1964, he outlines the general concepts and the major problems of these solar ponds. After that, Tabor and Medj in 1965, they carried out theoretical investigations of underlying physics of solar pond, and they had done the laboratory and field test also to study main factors affecting the pond performances. So at MT Stolgenbach 1968, he developed numerical methods to predict the temperature distributions within these solar ponds. These are the various researchers, and a group of Russian scientists at Uzbek SSK Academy of Science in 1973, they has been actively engaged in very detailed and sophisticated research of the relevant physics in the solar ponds. Coming to our India, in India, Dr. G.C. Jain in 1973, he has designed and he had designed and his operation on operating a solar pond. He has designed a design to operate a solar pond for use in production of salt at Central Salt and Marine Chemical Research Institute in Bhavnagar. This is the research done in India. Next, at last, work has also been done at Pondicherry. where experimental studies have been conducted onto a pond 100 meters square in area and 2 meters in depth. So under this depth, experiments have been done on this solar pond. These are the researches going on and still going on the solar ponds. This is the principle of operation and description of non-convective solar pond. Actually, a solar pond is a mass of shallow water of about 1 to 2 meters depth only. So, with a large collection area, it acts as a heat trap. 1 to 2 meters means it is a low area. If you have a capacity of large collection of area, it acts as a heat traps. So it contains this solar pond contains some dissolved salts to generate a stable density gradient. Okay, so this dissolved salt will be in types of layers. Some part of incident solar radiation will be entering the pond surface and it is absorbed throughout the depth, and remaining will be penetrating through the pond and it is going to the downwards absorbers black bottom plates. So if the pond is firstly filled with fresh water, the lower areas will be heat up, and when the lower layers are heat up, they expand and they rise to the surfaces. So because of this rising and again going down, this is convective mixing, and due to this convective mixing, there is a disadvantage of heat loss at the surface. So due to this convective mixing also, we cannot attain high temperatures in the pond. Only small temperatures can be attainable. So very small temperatures of 6 to 10 degrees, 20 degrees, below 20 degrees we can attain. So this convective mixing, and on the other hand this convection can be eliminated by initially creating a sufficiently strong salt concentration gradient. So if you can make the pool a strong salt gradient, we can discontinue this disadvantage. So in this case, when we add this salt, thermal expansion in the hotter layers is insufficient to destabilize the pond suppressor. Okay, so the heat will be the denser water, the warmer water which gets warmed in the bottom cannot rise up. So the heat is lost only from the lower layers and the process is by conduction only. We can avoid the convection losses here. Only conduction losses are there, but these are non-accountable. So because of this low conductivity, water in the insulator has high temperatures. These high temperatures can be over 90 degrees Celsius. These are developed in the bottom layers. So at the bottom of the pond, a thick durable plastic liner is layered. Okay, so this thick plastic layer is materials made with butyl rubber, black polythene and hypalon reinforced with nylon mesh. These are the materials used for liner at the bottom of the pond. So this is a thick liner, not a thin liner. This is a thick liner. And salts used are magnesium chloride, sodium chloride or sodium nitrate. These are dissolved in water and the concentration is varying about 20 to 30% at the bottom and almost it is zero at the top. So at the bottom there will be a fresh water, and on the top when we reaches the top there will be on the bottom there will be a salt water with percentage of 20 to 30, and when we reach tops we are getting fresh water. Okay, so in the salt gradient solar ponds, dissolved salt is used to create a layer of water with different densities. So if you use more salt, the more the denser will be the water. the concentration of the salt at the surface is low, usually less than 5% by weight. And so water, if the concentration of the water is low, then it is relatively light in weight. So the salt concentration steadily increases when we go below the depths, until at the bottom it is very high, and at the bottom we can expect around 20%. So by these salt densities we can divide these solar ponds in three regions. Depending upon the salt percentage, salt gradients we are using, this solar pond is divided into three regions. The first one is surface convective zone or upper convective zone. So on the upper convective zone we are having fresh water. So on the top we are having fresh water, and the depth of this surface convective zone or upper convective zone is around 0.3 to 0.5 meters, and the salinity, the percentage of salt present in this is less than 5%. And second zone is non-convective zone, and it is from depth 1.5 meters. And as we go on to the bottom, we said that salinity will be increasing. And the third stage is, that is the storage zone or lower convective zone. So here we store heat. That's why it is called as storage zone. Or lower convective zone means it is having last convective zone. It is the last convective zone. So what the depth is 1.5 to 2 meters. So if you observe the three zones here, so lower convective zone up until last we have only 2 meters. So we can build a solar pond with 2 meters depth. Okay, maximum we can go to up to 2 meters depth only. Here the salinity percentage will be equal to 20% approx. Okay, so if we want to do any physical considerations about this solar pond, we choose the second zone, non-convective zone, which is at the depth of 1 to 1.5 meters. So this is better for our physical examinations. Okay, so at the bottom there is a storage zone. It is typically 1 or 2 meters depth, but it can be as little as a half meter or as much as several meters deep. Okay, the surface convective zone usually have a small thicknesses. So they are having small thicknesses around 10 to 20 centimeters. In a low or uniform concentration, it is close to zero. As well as fairly uniform temperature, it is close to the ambient air temperature. This second layer, which is non-convective zone, it is much thicker. So when compared to other, it is much thicker, and it occupies more than half the depth of the pond. Okay, so in half the pond is the non-convective zone, and remaining half, 1/4 is the upper zone, and 1/4 is storage zone. So both concentration and temperature will be increasing with depth in it. As we go on to the depth, concentration and temperature increases. So it serves mainly as an insulating layer, and it reduces heat loss in the upward direction. This is all about the non-convective zone I am talking. Okay, both concentration and temperature will increase with depth, and it serves as an insulating layer, and it reduces the heat loss in the upward direction. So this zone acts as a thermal storage, as some of the heat collection also takes place in this zone. The lower convective zone or storage zone is comparable in thickness to the non-conductive zone. Okay, both the concentration and temperatures are nearly constant in the third zone. I am talking about third zone, storage zone. So the concentration and temperatures are constant in this zone. They remain a constant values. It serves as a main heat collection, and also it serves as a thermal storage medium. The deeper the zone, the more heat is stored. And the lower zone traps heats for a long periods, damping the effects of daily and even seasonally changes also. Okay, so this capacity for low cost storage is one of the chief advantages of salt gradient solar ponds, because in this we can trap the energy during daytime or during the night time. So irrespective of the solar radiations, we can use the heat in this solar ponds. So even during long periods of cloudy cover or even ice cover, the stored energy will be still available at what time you want. So as salty water near the bottom heats up, it expands. However, it cannot rise because it is denser than the less salty water above. So though they are heating up, they cannot rise up due to the salt we are using in the bottom. So thus a solar pond is defined as a non-conductive, and the warmer water stays trapped below only. But though we do this, some heat is lost by convection to the surface, but this process is much weaker than the convection process. So lower waters may even warm up to and above the boiling point of the pure water also. The highest temperature we attained up to now is 108 degrees Celsius, and it is attained in summer, in the season of summer, at the year 1980 at University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. Okay, so at this place at University of New Mexico, we are attaining the researchers have gone through 108 degrees temperature, Celsius temperature in the solar ponds. So depending upon the location, water clarity and temperature, the solar pond can capture about 10 to 20% of the solar energy hitting its surface, and remaining 90 to 80% will be wasted. Though it is wasted, it is the cheapest method of storing the heat here. So hence 1 square meter of pond can supply 1/2 of 2 gigajoules of thermal energy per year, and the average temperature maintained per year is 40 degrees Celsius to 80 degrees Celsius. So this look as the same flat plate collector. A flat plate collector of the same area will be twice as efficient but cost 10 times as much. Okay, so same if you want to keep the temperature of 40 to 80 degrees Celsius with other method. Suppose we are taking a flat plate collector method, it costs 10 times as the solar pond. The main quality of this solar pond will be depending upon the salt we are using. Okay, so the salt gradient gives the efficiency of the solar pond. So this is the most important factor. This is the most important salt. This is most important work to do. So this important particular salt particle used in the solar pond should have some characteristics. So for creating a density gradient, this salt should have some characteristics. We will see those characteristics. First one is it must have a high value of solubility. Okay, high value of solubility means it has to be diluted or dissolved into the water quicker. Okay, quicker, and no more remaining should be there after the dissolution of salt. So if this is high value, this is high value of solubility is there, it allows high solution densities. Okay, and this solubility should not vary with temperatures. If the temperature of the water is more, the solubility should not be reduced. It should be constant over all the temperatures. Its solution must be adequately transparent to solar radiations. Okay, so once the salt dissolves in the water, and this solution should look as a pure water. Okay, the looking should not change with impurities. So it should be fresh. It should little be equal to the looking of the fresh water. So it should be transparent without impurities to the solar radiation. If it is containing any impurities, the impurities absorb the solar radiations and they does not allow the water to heat. Okay, and it must be environmentally benign, safe to handle the groundwater. Okay, that's all dissolved in this. If it goes out or if it is used to some utilizations, it should be environment friendly, and though large quantities of living beings are using this, it should be safe. Okay, fifth one, it must be available in abundance near site so that its total delivery cost is low. Okay, where we are working, it should be nearer. The pond should be, we should create a pond, we should design a pond to our near working places only, so that the cost will be reduced. Okay, delivering cost means the transportation cost will be reduced.